Hey, John.
Eric, and another Wednesday night.
170th Wednesday night.
That is pretty crazy.
Yep. That's a big number.
Well, congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah. I think if nothing else, the two of us are both kind of stubborn.
That's right.
It's kind of like obviously it's routine, but my family knows, and they're like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday night. It's all good.
Yeah.
So,
Do something for 3 years, it becomes a habit.
A habit. Yeah.
Anything exciting this weekend?
Yeah, gee, nothing big happened this weekend. So, just minor note, both of us work for McAfee. Lots of news about McAfee at the moment. Neither of us are spokespeople. Go see the press releases if you're interested. And when we'll see. Let's see. What did I do this weekend other than work? You know what? I had a big adventure on Saturday, which was Saturday looked like it was going to be a nice day. Actually, it looked like it was going to be pretty nice week, and then a little bit of rain, and so my wife and I decided that we would do our spring fertilizing of some of the pastures. So I went and got what would it be? I don't know, half a ton, a little more than half a ton, I guess, of fertilizer, and
I do a reject substitution every time you say fertilizer, and
well, no, so this is not that bad. This is not like nothing gross. Although I guess if you think about it, like what does the nitrogen and stuff come from? Well, yes. Mm-hmm. But they're all pelleted, it's basically just the, bags of granulated fertilizer, and it's 16, we get the 16 stuff, which means 16% nitrogen, 16% potassium, 16% something else, which I should totally know. And,
well, I just
okay, yeah.
Your note in the notes is hot stuff. And so I think of steaming piles of fertilizer.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and it is ironic that I actually do own a manure spreader, or I should say, my wife owns a manure spreader, which
she lets you borrow it.
We don't actually use it very much. So. Whatever. Sorry, it's more farming stuff. So every winter before it gets really wet in Oregon, mostly my wife, but sometimes me, but mostly my wife, call it 95% her, uses the tractor and scoops up the manure from kind of the summer places where the horses and animals are, and cleans out the sheds where there's hay and everything else, and puts it all in one big, massive pile to kind of compost. And then we turn it a couple of times, and that turns into compost that we use for the garden, and and we spread that out on the pasture, or we have in the past, and stuff like that. But that is not what we're talking about here. And so, yes, I do have a big pile out, not far from the garden, that is, taller, higher than I am tall. So, and I'm 6 foot. So, it's a big pile. It's a very, very, very big pile. But it's all good. Anyway, that's a lot.
Sorry.
That's a lot. Now I got to cut all that stuff out or something.
I derailed you.
You derailed me. No, we got one of those, big spreaders that's like a upside down cone that goes on the back of the tractor. And, I can fit, how much was in that last batch? I think it was 12 50-pound bags was the last section I did. So that's what, 600 pounds.
600 pounds, if my math is right.
Yeah, and that's a lot of stuff. So, but it's anyway. It literally is back the tractor up to the truck, hop up in the truck bed, one bag at a time, pour it in, and and then go out and spread it. But it gave me some podcast listening time, and which was nice. And
there you go.
And it was a beautiful day. So. It was very it was very nice to be sitting at a different with a different vantage point than my computer, which is what I spend the vast majority of my time sitting at.
Right.
So that was my Saturday, or a good chunk of Saturday, which was really very nice. I was hoping to start some bee stuff, but not quite yet. I've got a mouse though. I've got a mouse. Did I tell you I got a mouse in one of my hives?
I think I saw a picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I tweeted a picture. Every time I go by, I put it back in place, and then I come back, and it'll be pushed out of the way. So I'm hoping for a warm day this weekend where it's above 60, and I'm actually going to tear that whole hive down, and I'm going to chase the mouse out, and then I'm going to put some nails up so that it can't move the thing, basically. Something along those lines. I'll get it.
Make it.
Is that Jerry? It must be Jerry. Yeah.
Make it chomp in the hole.
Tom's the camp. Tom's the cat.
Yes. On that note, the Tom and Jerry movie that was supposed to be the theaters is in theaters and then simultaneously on HBO Max.
I did not know. No, I didn't even realize there was a Tom and Jerry movie.
It's one of those movies where the cartoon characters interact with the live action characters as if it's normal. I got 10 minutes into it and I turned it off.
Oh.
So, I may try it again. Maybe I wasn't in the mood, but because I remember watching Tom and Jerry as a kid and finding it hilarious, but it's mostly just, violence. So cartoon violence.
Now we see the violence inherent in the cartoon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to get violent with my kitchen sink.
Oh no. What happened?
So I seem to just not be able to escape water/plumbing issues this last little bit. So a couple days ago, my wife comes down and says, "Have you been messing with the water pressure in the kitchen?" No. The kitchen faucet has slowly it's now down to a trickle no matter how, we turn the water on. I'm assuming something is broken somewhere in the middle of the faucet and it's blocking it, but yeah. I dug through every trick I could figure out, and short of buying an entire new faucet, which will be next, and to be honest, I just gave up.
Which might be cheaper than a plumber.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't have time, and it needs to be done. It's like one of those things. I can't wait till I have time to go.
No, not for a kitchen faucet.
Do it. And so, a professional is showing up tomorrow morning. And if the professional answer is you need a whole new kitchen faucet, then I'll go out and buy one and put that one in myself. But at least then at that point, I'll know. And while they're there, I'm going to have them replace a couple other things underneath the sink. I'm like, look, if I'm already paying you to be here, here's a couple of things I want you to replace.
Right.
So I'll take advantage of it while I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will say, I might have mentioned it when I did this because it was like a year ago or 6 months ago. I replaced the faucet in our utility room, and it's so nice having that new faucet in there. I use it all the time. It doesn't leak like the old one did. Most of the time when I use it, which is multiple times a week, actually probably nearly every day, I'm like, why did I not replace this? Because it was one of those things that it's like just a door and 20 steps away from the kitchen,
Right.
and so I just didn't use it for a long time. And now that I fixed it, I was like, you should have done that like a year earlier. But anyway, I'm bad about those sorts of things. I'm really bad. Don't be me. Don't be me. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry that you cannot escape water problems.
It's just like, what's next?
But two down. This would be the third, right? You had the dishwasher, you had the bathroom, and now you got. So maybe after this you'd be done. Three.
I'll have my thing of 3
strikes.
Yeah, my 3 strikes, and I'm done.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I'm sure it'll just move on to something else. Where's wood to knock on?
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a different note, another exciting thing that happened this weekend was my wife has been teaching my boy how to drive, and they've been going to parking lots, church parking lots. There's a number of churches around with big empty parking lots during the week, and well, for most of the time now.
Most of the time at this point.
Yeah. And so they were at one way out towards Hillsboro. They just kind of drive till they find one that's big. They found one that was a really big parking lot. And they were driving around through the parking lot, and after about 20 minutes, a sheriff pulls into the parking lot, slowly kind of goes and parks, and is essentially watching them. And they're like, what are we doing wrong? I'm sure he noticed, a mom and a son, and they were in the minivan this time. So, it's not really a suspicion.
Doing things like parking and then like
pulling in between the lines, making sure you get in the parking
pull into
lot,
that
backing up. Yeah. Doing all those things. So I'm sure once he got in, I wonder if someone called something suspicious in, like from the neighbor houses around it, and or maybe it was just his lunch hour, and he was like, "I'm gonna go find it. This is where I'm gonna park out of the way." Who knows? But my boy thought it was hilarious. He likes to let us know now that he's already been arrested. He's already been pulled over. He doesn't even have his license yet. He didn't
actually pull him over, though.
No.
Okay.
He just likes to,
Well, yeah, sure. I wonder though too. I know for things like ambulances, they'll sometimes, when one's on call or something like that, they'll stage another ambulance, somewhere so that it's I'm sure there's like somebody has a monitor with a bunch of Venn diagrams on it, and they're like, okay, I need an ambulance over here. But
I'm sure it was probably something like that, or like his day off, or not day off, his his lunch hour or something, because it was a ways from the street. It was in the back. They were towards the back, and so it wasn't like he was.
So you wouldn't get there accidentally.
Yeah, parked next to the street, trying to catch speeders running down the main road in front of the building. So anyways.
Well, so is he feeling more confident? Your son?
I think so. He announced that out of all the cars, he likes the minivan the best. It drives the best. So like, all right, there you go. Okay. Learn to drive in what makes you comfortable. So I think that'll be the car he learns to drive in from now on. Okay.
Yeah, might as well get a lot of experience with one, and then you can, once you're a little more experienced, it's okay to then get in another one and see, how's it different. And, and then you get in the truck, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Nobody wants to drive my truck. Well, my middle daughter, who turns 18 tomorrow, is always bugging me about, can I drive your truck, Dad? I want to drive the truck. And
oh, not with you, though. She just wants to take it out. And
she wants to take the truck and go places in the truck because it's cool. I don't know. It's like, no, that's all right. You got a car you can drive. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, schools are going to be starting to come back in Oregon, at least at the
another month,
late April,
a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe your boy can drive to school. That's my wife's plan, is to make my son drive to school most mornings.
I will be curious to see what they do for the end of this year, because there's only enough parking spaces for like the senior class. So last year, if you weren't a senior, you didn't get a parking pass.
Mm-hmm.
But with so many kids still, and it's half and half, through the end of the school year, I'm wondering if they're even going to have parking passes for the rest of the year, and who's going to get them, or if they're just going to leave it open to whomever shows up. So,
good question. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't think anyone's thought that far ahead.
More pressing concerns. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. So what they're going to do in Oregon, at least, is they're going to divide the classes in half. So we're currently doing, at least at the high school level, what they call comprehensive distance learning, which is basically just you're on Zoom all day.
Yeah.
And then what they're going to be doing is dividing the class in half. And half the class will go to school. For those, you have a choice of just staying home 100% of the time if you want. But for the people that are ready to start re-engaging, half the class will go Monday, Tuesday, and half the class will go Thursday, Friday. And that's just to kind of keep the cohorts small enough that, they're under the state guidelines. So that the teacher is now going to have to be on camera sort of at the front of their classroom, and half the class is going to be remote and half the class will be present. And so it'll be interesting to see how they swing it and what they're doing. And, I'm happy especially for people like seniors this year, being able to go back and see their friends and, have at least a little bit of the senior experience. I think will be very, very nice.
Yeah. Although I've talked to my daughter about that, and she's like, yeah, it'll be nice to see some people who aren't in her little friend group, but she's pretty much written the year off. She's already got big plans for college. So she's like, senior year's done.
That was 2020.
Yeah. I got robbed. I'm going to make sure I don't get robbed in college. Like, all right.
All right. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Should we move on to some follow-up?
Let's get to some security parts here. So, yeah.
You wrote a novel in follow-up.
I did. Well, so my topic last week was pretty hot off the presses, which was the exchange vulnerabilities or exploitation that was just kind of found. And this past week has been a whole lot more. And there's a ton of articles. The one that I chose that I'll put in follow-up for the notes here is about it's from Domain Tools. And it's got, the reason I chose this is because it has a timeline, a pretty good timeline of the vulnerability. So there was an article on Krebs a couple days earlier that had a timeline, but this is a little bit more, this goes back a little bit farther. So, and in particular, so here's a quote from it. And I might try and make the image or a screen cap of the article with the image on it, the notes here. But it says, furthermore, multiple sources revealed that while public reporting indicated initial exploitation in tracked campaigns started in January 2021, such activity may extend as far back as November. Given that public timelines from DevCore indicated research and analysis only began in October, with vulnerability discovery in December, the possibility of public exploitation in late 2020 raises a number of questions, sadly none of which can be answered with current evidence. I assume the primary the question there is, so was this 0-day known about and being exploited by advanced adversaries longer ago than November? And in particular, so if you look at the timeline that should be here and in the article, so it says that research by DevCore/Chengda begins in October 1st, and the possible first exploitation was in November. The first observed exploitation by Velexity was in January.
Mm-hmm.
And then Microsoft acknowledged the vulnerability on January 6th. But it wasn't disclosed until, the beginning of March. So what was that? That timeline doesn't actually have that date on it. But sometime around, it does. Sorry. Hafnium activity disclosed by Microsoft March 2nd. So let's see. So then the thing is, it says, within days of Microsoft's announcement and corresponding blogs from DevCore, Velexity, and others, various proof of concepts appeared from independent researchers and security firms starting on March 9th. That was yesterday. So if not already the case previously, exploitation of CVE 2021-26855 and related vulnerabilities in the exploit chain took off, such that multiple entities from opportunistic state-sponsored organizations through likely criminal elements are actively looking for and taking advantage of these security issues. That's the thing that's been going on here is it's like a gold rush for finding and exploiting and deploying web shells, and then I've seen lots of chatter about countdown to ransomware, and all this access to these organizations is going to be sold, which means there's we're kind of just at the beginning of a wave, expected to be at the beginning of a wave of implications for as these access backdoors are leveraged over the course of the next period of time. So this was another. I pulled out this other quote here. This is part of the book here, but it is quite a long article. It says, while initial access vectors to victims included the exploitation of 4 0 days until disclosure on the 2nd of March, this activity concluded with the deployment of a commodity widely known web shell capability. So there's a significant disconnect between intrusion methodologies, which were technically complex, non-public, hard to do, basically. And, sorry, I'm going away from the actual reading here. And follow-on actions of objective using widely known commodity tools. So this divergence between access and entrenchment capabilities is curious. So what does that say? Oh, that observation, or such observations. Sorry, let me actually read it. Quote, such observations strongly indicate more than one adversary, likely operating independent of each other, is associated with the exchange exploitation operations. So that's kind of what I mean by a gold rush. They're trying to find as many as they can and exploit them. So the other, I pulled there are two other points on this, story length follow up. I read last week about Microsoft attributing it to Hafnium and having a quote that said it was state-sponsored and operating out of China based on observed victimology tactics and procedures. But this article is noting that statement is very carefully worded. It didn't say that it was the Chinese government. It just says they were operating out of China and that it is assessed to be state-sponsored.
Right.
But of course, people reading that, and including me last week, well, I think, was, said, oh, so it's Chinese government. But the quote here is that while such a link is certainly possible and has not been ruled out, as of this writing, no conclusive evidence has emerged linking Hafnium operations to the People's Republic of China. So that's maybe a minor bit of correction. And then my last piece of data, actually, if it was in this article, I didn't quite see it, but Krebs had an article a couple days ago, Krebs on Security, that said at least 30,000 U.S. organizations have been compromised via this vulnerability. I thought that I had seen an article in the last day or two. Might have just been a Twitter thing that said that was probably more like 45K at this point. But I didn't, in a quick Google, none of the usual suspects showed up. So we'll keep it at 30K. But I'm sure that number is higher at this point because the Krebs article came out on the 5th, which was I think that was the 5th, so which was 5 days ago. So, March 5th. So I think that will be, I suspect there will be more follow-up next week. Just FYI. So don't hold your breath. And I saw so much stuff this week on, if you are still trying to patch, you are probably compromised. And if you're still trying to patch or struggling to patch, you should not be running your own Exchange server. And
okay.
And then I saw some stuff that was something along the lines of, well, no, we've moved to Office 365, but we just haven't shut down our old Exchange servers. But that's no big deal because nobody uses them anymore.
Somebody does now.
Outlook Web Access is probably still enabled, and yeah, somebody does now. So, not good. Okay, how about you? What about topics?
So I picked out two topics, and one I picked out because it was something that I had thought about doing years ago when the iPhone first came out and touchscreens were the thing, because I have never really been a big fan of the mouse. I've always liked trackpads or things that stay still and I move my hand around them as opposed to having my hand move an object around.
Right.
But this is a mobile app called the Wi-Fi Mouse. So it basically allows you to turn your tablet or iPhone into a
I've never heard of such a thing. Okay.
A touchpad. But to be able to do that, you have to run some software, install some software on your desktop that you want that Wi-Fi mouse.
A mouse driver of some sort or something like that. A device
essentially.
driver.
Well, so this is an article about an unpatched bug in a popular Wi-Fi mouse Android application. I shouldn't say Android application. It is an Android application, but it can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux. And the bug is not in the Android application. The bug is in the server software that you install on your PC that will allow that to work. Essentially, what it does on your machine is it opens up and listens on a port and then allows your phone or tablet to connect to what is probably effectively a web server that's just up and running on your laptop. And unfortunately, there's no security around that port that's open, so anyone can connect to it. And a researcher discovered that not only can they connect to it, they can own the entire box. They can run remote commands through it, load up a shell, etc. So a really cool idea, which I would probably have used earlier on. Now, trackpads are commonplace enough that it's not hard to grab one. Drivers exist for them. It seems a little more complicated than I would care to deal with at this point. But yet another, hey, just because you got something on your phone, if you're putting something also on your laptop or desktop, it might have the problem, even if the app itself has no bugs. So that's the first one. Short, not a long article.
It'll accept any connection so long as it's running on an endpoint and the firewall isn't blocking.
Yep.
Ugh.
And then my second one. So I guess I've got my topics this week are kind of from the edges, from the fringes, not the mainstream.
Okay. All right. I like fringes.
Yeah, we have talked about sidebar. Did you ever watch that show Fringe?
No.
I think it was on Fox. Maybe I'll have to do that as something fun at some point. I thought Fringe was a pretty cool. It was
sci-fi,
X-Files-ish.
Okay.
So anyways, sorry. Sidebar.
Okay. No,
so,
I did not.
we've talked about
you need a Surrey.
we've talked about typo squatting before, right? Where
Yes.
you have a domain, and someone will register if your domain is hello.com, someone will register HE capital I, to replace the L with the I to make it look the same. This one is slightly different. Take on that same concept. It's called bitsquatting. So this researcher went and instead of looking at the actual characters, looked at what happens if I flip just one bit. So you look at the zeros and ones that make up the letters. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't look visually wrong. But if you change, for example, windows.com, if you happen to remove the last bit of the I, it'll turn that into an H. And so it's WHNDOWS. And that actually can happen for other reasons. Your computer's running too hot, or the quote is, let's say you've got a computer running too hot, a solar flare is happening, or a cosmic ray, a very real thing, flips a bit on the computer. I think we've talked about cosmic rays flipping bits in computers. So if just by chance a single bit somewhere gets flipped, now someone who goes to windows.com, it will end up going to WHNDOWS.com. And those domains were all accessible. So this guy went and found 32 different valid domain names that are one bit flip away from windows.com. And 14 were available for purchase. So he went and bought those and then said, hey, I just bought them in case. And if there's anybody at Microsoft who wants them, who can verify that you're from Microsoft, I'm happy to give them to you. So I just thought it was an interesting take on the whole bit squatting, typo squatting idea, because now it's not changing what humans will visually see, rather changing what computers might actually hiccup on.
Right.
So.
Right.
A clever little approach. So not a very long article there either, but an interesting take.
Well, but hold on. You're not going to talk about what he did? Because he has results from having people sitting on there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I guess I get. Yeah. No. So he sat in.
You were so enthralled with the concept that
yes.
You're
there is a lot of detail that goes into him actually setting up some of those domains and just seeing how many requests come through for the various different bit flipped domains. So
that's interesting. Yeah, because you're running a server and you're like, who's gonna hit me?
Yeah,
and there's clearly misspellers, but the what was it? Was it NTP? Yeah. So yeah, it said that the NTP service that runs on all Windows machines worldwide with a default configuration using time.windows.com generated the most bit flipped traffic.
Right.
I still got a lot of traffic for other items as well, but I was most surprised by how much traffic I got from domains that were misspelled by users when typing a URL. But yeah, that was cool and very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
I thought it was a cool idea, a cool take on it. So, anyways, that's what I have for you this week.
All right, very nice, very nice, very nice. My article was it just came out yesterday, which is Apple rolled out an emergency fix for WebKit, WebKit remote code execution vulnerability. So if you if you use a Mac, you should run the Safari update. If you use an iPhone, I think it was patched in iPhone, right? Oh, maybe it was just a Mac-based thing, because it says Mojave, Catalina, and Big Sur. So this is a vulnerability in WebKit, which is the WebKit engine is what's inside Safari. It is a 7.7 out of 10 on the CVSS vulnerability scale, so high severity, but not a 10. But it's kind of weird. I guess I'm not quite sure why it's that low, because it's a memory corruption issue that can lead to remote code execution. So that's a pretty bad one. So it says, let's see, the vulnerability stems from a memory corruption issue in WebKit. In the case of this specific flaw, if WebKit processes a specially crafted malicious web content, it could lead to successful exploitation. So in the real world, what that means is that you can, if you visit a page, all you have to do is visit a page with a WebKit browser or with Safari, and you can be targeted. So it says a remote attacker can create a specially crafted web page, trick the victim to opening it, trigger memory corruption, and execute arbitrary code on the target system. Boom. So, maybe patch.
Update.
So, update.
Update.
So this looks like this was it must only be a Safari, it must only be a Mac OS one, because I guess I had thought that it was on iOS devices as well, but the note I have here that I put in here is just that it is available for Big Sur, Catalina, and Mojave. And so in general it should be their versions are not pretty anymore. Version numbers are not for humans anymore. No. Just FYI. Version numbers are for computers.
Yeah.
Version numbers are for the next versions to know what they need to do, is really what they come down to at this point. So anyway. So I wonder if do I have an update available?
I applied mine yesterday. No, 2 days ago, which then caused problems at work with my laptop. So there were other things
is that the update that caused the problem?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry.
I offered to be a guinea pig for some additional software, and I don't know who to blame. But
I believe that was the chat where I said, I think my exact words were, "Please do not touch my computer."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So patch if you haven't, and if you're a Exchange person and you use Exchange at work, you should make sure that your people have either not have either patched. They have patched, and they're looking for the likely remote web shell that is running in your environment today.
Right. Well, let me tell you something fun.
I could use something fun. Tell me something fun.
There's something very fabulous going on in the state of Oregon. If you search for jobs in the state of Oregon, there are a whole ton of jobs listed as remote Oregon as their location. And you, as a fellow Oregonian, might wonder why a tiny little town in unincorporated Coos County, which has a handful of homes and one gas pump, has a whole bunch of high-tech jobs flagged.
Oh, that is so funny.
As located in the town of remote Oregon. Clearly, this is a pun. But apparently, I wasn't aware of this until I saw this article. There is an actual town named Remote Oregon.
I did not know that.
When you fill out, if you're filling out a job posting for, those job posting sites try to do smart things with, right, data entry, right?
And but you probably have to provide a location, city, right? Location, city, state.
If you add that the place is remote Oregon, which has a population of somewhere between 3 and 100, depending on how you want to draw the boundaries. There are probably not actual tech
it's a
jobs
hamlet
in in remote Oregon. There might be tech jobs in Boring, Oregon, which is also a town.
Oh, that is funny. I knew about Boring. Yes.
Yeah. That's on the way to Mount Hood. But yeah, I was unaware of remote Oregon. So anyways, that's my something fun. It was just a short article about somebody stumbled across a whole ton of tech jobs in a town with 3 people. So there you go.
Wow. What we want you to do, you could be the next quarter population.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You could.
That is funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It also kind of reminded me of that. This is years ago now, where when vanity plates were the big thing, and some guy in California got a vanity license plate of none, and then all of a sudden was getting hundreds of tickets showing up at his door because, the cops, when they fill out, the ticket, if there was no license plate, they'd write none, and the computer system would match none to, that's this guy.
That is hilarious.
So there you go.
I didn't remember that, but that's awesome.
There you go. There's my fun for this week.
Okay. That's cool. Okay. So did you watch this video yet?
I have not. I didn't even click on it, so I'm clicking on it now.
All right. Go ahead and click on it and watch it. With sound on.
All right. This is great podcast.
I will cut this part out.
Oh my goodness. How many takes did they do? Nice.
All right.
That is really cool.
All right. So I will cut that last couple minutes out. So what you just watched and what you should check out if you're listening to this podcast, because as you know, we are terrible about choosing fun things that are actually in video, and this is an audio only medium. But my first something fun, because I actually brought to you, my first something fun is it's a video shot from a drone in a bowling alley, and so it starts way outside, swoops down in through the front door, flies around the lanes, flies backstage behind the lanes, out through the kitchen, back through. Anyway, so it's an amazing video. So
that was really cool.
That was cool. So that was my first something fun. Check that out. My quote unquote real something fun, although that was a really fun.
Science.
My other something fun is science. Yes. So somebody at work actually tweeted this a week or two ago, actually, and it has been on my backlog to put on and do something, but now is the time. So this is an article on protons, what protons are actually made of, because the simplistic view of a proton is that it has 2 up quarks and a down quark, and that the quark, right, there's 3 quarks in a proton, and that they make up, they add up to a +1 charge, because a proton is positively charged.
Right.
And so there's 2 plus 2/3 and 1 minus 1/3, and that adds up to 3/3. So, but that and I didn't know a lot of this stuff, which is totally awesome. But this is a totally cool article. You should go to it. But so here's some other stuff I pulled out of here. So it says that simplistic picture glosses over a far stranger, as yet unresolved story. So 30 years ago, researchers discovered a striking feature of this proton sea. The theorists expected it, that is what's inside a proton, to contain an even spread of different types of antimatter. Instead, down antiquarks seem to significantly outnumber up antiquarks. Then a decade later, another group saw hints of a puzzling variation in the down to up antiquark ratio, but the results were right on the edge of the experiment's sensitivity. So 20 years ago, Giesemann and a colleague, Paul Reimer, embarked on a new experiment to investigate called SeaQuest, finally finished, and the researchers report their findings in the journal Nature today. They measured the proton's inner antimatter in more detail than ever before, finding there are on average 1.4 down antiquarks for every up antiquark. So, I thought I had a very simplistic view previously. There's some great visuals in this article too, because the comment is that, there's basically quarks appearing and disappearing like constantly inside there. It's just that there's always the 3 valence, they call them valence quarks, that actually cause the charge, but there's still more. And then there's also a whole other part. I didn't actually pull this out, but there's a whole part that says protons are sometimes neutrons with this pion that basically takes the charge off. It's crazy. This is a whole bunch of detail around like what's happening down at the quantum realm that we have no experience of. And how is matter stable? That's what I want to know. Explain that to me, Eric. How is matter stable? This doesn't make any sense.
It's not?
I don't know.
I haven't read this. I will have to go read this now. Now I am intrigued.
Yeah. So there's the other thing in here that is, again, a question with no answer. It says, in the ultimate quest to understand the proton, the deciding factor might be its spin or intrinsic angular momentum. A muon scattering experiment in the late 80s showed that the spins of the proton's 3 valence quarks account for no more than 30% of the proton's total spin. So the proton spin crisis is what contributes the other 70%. It's like dark spin.
Dark spin.
Who knows? So once again, Brown, the Fermi Lab old timer, something else must be going on. So they're setting up this new quest, Fermi Lab's Spin Quest experiment, involving many of the same people and parts as SeaQuest is almost ready to go. With luck, we'll take data this spring. It will depend, at least on part, on the progress of the vaccine against the virus, because since they're having to stay home,
right?
They're not actually moving forward as fast as they can be on that. So, but anyway, this article has a whole bunch of detail and data about what it's like, what we theorize it's like inside a proton. And I didn't really pull it out, but they actually cover 2 competing hypotheses of what protons are actually like. And so the follow-on experiment is to try and deduce which one of those is more likely correct. So anyway, very, very cool article. Like I said, it was posted by someone at work. So this was very cool. So there you go. Something fun.
Cool.
Science fun.
Alrighty, dude.
Yes. Sorry. I hope I didn't yawn in the middle of somebody and that I could take out any yawns that I did. Sorry, folks. It's been a long few weeks.
Yeah.
It's all good. Be well.
Alrighty. I'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later. Bye, Eric.
Bye.